Devontae Adams because he was labeled missing at practice for a couple of days. Was it a veteran work day? I do not know. But it was really interesting the story that I heard that Devontae was not at practice. Then I started thinking, did his wife have a baby? Because she was pregnant and she's due around this time. And I didn't hear any stories about him having the baby yet. But it was interesting to hear that Devontae Adams was not at camp and not on the field when they need to create chemistry. But again, that might have only been for 1 or 2 days. I don't think it was a major story because I really don't really remember hearing anything major from it. But the camp Raiders camp studs and duds. Who are the studs and duds from Raiders training camp this season? Well, from the ones that I've heard about in the stud category, it's got to be Dylan Lobb, the running back, the undrafted free agent running back, has made a name for himself, especially with Raiders media and the sports announcers. As of that, they're calling him a young man's Christian McCaffrey. Maybe that's who I'm calling him. But I'm looking forward to this man being a part of the team. They said he's flying around the field, making the blocks, looking good on special teams, catching everything that's thrown his way, and he knew the playbook very well. That's why the media started talking about him and the coaches, because for some reason he seemed a little more prepared than maybe some of the other players at camp, or maybe the other undrafted free agents, or whatever. He seems more polished. So he is quickly becoming a fan favorite. And man, they're comparing him to like a poor man's Christian McCaffrey. I will take that every day in a minute for Raiders football. A poor man's Christian McCaffrey, I'll frickin' take it. Now, another stud that I've been hearing about is nobody else. I don't remember hearing that much big information besides Brock Bowers. We all know he's a stud. I have heard that Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers are having a competition not to be ignored. And Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers may be the best tight end duo in the NFL this coming season, working under Luke Getsy's offense. There's been a few wide receivers that I've seen make a few big plays, but I was hoping to hear from, and now we go into the possible dud category. I may be incorrect. Please forgive me if I am. I don't have all the information. Please let me know the studs in camp that you've heard about in the chat room. Let your boy know what's going on. But those are the studs that I heard about. And I wish I would have heard about a quarterback being a stud, but we haven't. I wish I would have heard about a running back being a stud, like Zeus, but we haven't. I wish I would have heard about Trey Tucker being a stud, but we really haven't. That's because the Raiders' defense is so much better than the offense that the Raiders' offense is struggling to produce studs. So that's why technically are our quarterbacks duds? Is our running back a dud? Is Trey Tucker a dud? I've heard good things about Jacoby Myers coming in the second year, balling out. But that can be expected from those type of players. I was talking about the young players, the new quarterbacks, and the young quarterbacks, and some of the offensive linemen. But I haven't heard much about them in praise. I've heard more about the Raiders' defense than anything. So that brings me to the duds. Yeah, they're studs on defense, but it's always Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins. I haven't heard too much about the young players. And we're going to talk about Jack Jones in a little bit. But that Raiders defense is Bombay. And that defense is already a stud coming into training camp, so I don't need to talk about them. But for some of the young players like Tyree Wilson coming off his second year, moving around now, becoming a defensive tackle at sometimes, moving around the field, hopefully off of his injury that hindered him last year where he only had 3.5 sacks. I expected to hear, oh my God, Tyree Wilson is coming off the ball. Tyree against a bad, not a bad, but like a lesser known Raiders offense. I expected to hear big things from Tyree Wilson. And I haven't. I've watched a decent amount of the interviews from the coaches, but I didn't hear praise like he's a stud and that he's improved that much. They just said, oh, he's working through it. You know, he's going to improve as the season progresses. Huh? You shouldn't have drafted this MFer in the first place with that injury. I'm sorry, I said it, Raider Nation. I said it. We lost a whole year with him. But toward the end of the season, with Patrick Graham, it got easier for him, and then he had 3.5 sacks, and it looked promising. But why hasn't it continued? Well, because he's had an off season. He's still in the same system, but now he's being asked to do more or less. I don't know. Did he come into the season off weight, not on book? Is it going to take him another 8 games to get developed into the league in his second year? Mikey Rader's getting mad. But I expected to hear more from him, and I just haven't. I'm not saying it won't come. Maybe in a couple of weeks during the preseason, he's going to get his footing and everything's going to be fine. Mikey Rader is a worry wart. But I expected to hear more about him being a stud, but he appears to be more on the dud category in his second year. Now for the duds. Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. What's up, Frost WSA? Love you, brother. Say hello. Represent Mexico in boxing. Now for the duds. Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. Antonio Pierce kept saying it. None of them has stepped up. And it's, what did he say in the press conference the other day? Same old, or same quota, or nothing has changed. Who's going to be your starter? Nothing has changed. Same old, same old. We'll let the preseason games determine. So it's pretty interesting. I've heard about interceptions on both accounts. And we're going to talk about Jack Jones for some reason being called a dud by Antonio Pierce publicly. You're going to have to take my word for it. I don't have the video, but it's in one of his press conferences, one of the last 2, where he called out Jack Jones. We'll talk about that in a minute. But those are my studs and duds, man, from camp. Again, I'm not that in tune with the Raiders as I would normally like to be. But please let me know in the description, the chat room, your studs, your duds, what you've heard about certain players, how they've excelled or how they haven't excelled and whatever. And just looking at that picture, guys, I just saw this. Look at that picture on screen. Who's that short motherfucker right there in the middle around all the guys with the helmets? Who is that? Is that Trey Tucker? 5'2". Who is that? Who is that with that little short guy? Who is that little short guy? You know one funny thing though, real quickly, and I kid you not, I was watching, a couple videos of training camp with other teams and stuff like that, and the Raiders, and those helmets came in a couple of years ago to protect the head and all that. Well, apparently, I was watching it, right? And then I started to say that it looked like the uniform. And I was like, man, those little padded helmets on top of their helmets, they look like uniform, like the uniform. It's all black and silver. Remember the first time they had it, it was all white and ridiculous. Now they're conforming to like each team's colors. So I was like, man, that looks pretty cool. I go, are they allowed to wear it in a game? Because I could see where they're going to wear these in the games. I think that's what the NFL is trying to do, by making it look like the outfit or the helmet or the jersey. So my mind said, they might be wearing it this season in games. Then I kid you not, I think it was on the Pat McAfee podcast. They had a NFL helmet expert on the next day or two, and he said, yeah, some players are allowed to wear it during the preseason, but it's got like a sleeve and it looks more like the jersey. It's got the logo on it. So they put a helmet, they put that big whatever contraption on top of the helmet. Then there's a sleeve, like a big piece of paper or plastic or something, that they put on top of that helmet that has the logo and the number of the player on it, and it looks like the jersey or the uniform. So it all blends in. And the NFL expert on the Pat McAfee show was saying they're going to put that players are going to start wearing, they have the option to wear it or not wear it in the preseason. And they expect a future where they're going to be wearing these things in actual games. Maybe even this year. And then Pat McAfee said, it's kind of stupid. You guys are putting a helmet on top of a helmet on top of a helmet. And then the NFL helmet expert was like, oh, yeah, no, the trick is we're trying to get all the helmets and the look inside the original helmet. So that way you don't have to put a helmet on top of a helmet on top of a sleeve. And I was like, oh, they finally figured that out. They should have done that the first time. But apparently there's these new helmets that came out this year that some of the quarterbacks and wide receivers and offensive linemen can wear that is even better at protection. But I'd kind of like to see how they're going to fit these helmets on top of helmets inside a helmet. Will the helmet go from whatever size it is now to that big that we see on screen? I don't know. It's pretty something interesting, guys. Do you guys like it? Do you like the helmet stuff? Or you don't? Let me know. Dizzy Gunner, what's up, girl? You online saying, what's up? Appreciate you. Let me know your thoughts on that helmet stuff. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. And let me know your studs and duds, man. All right. Let's get the next topic on.
Ticket 1050, the proud home of your Oakland Raiders. This is the return